government announced on Monday several new relief measures aimed at buffering the effects of the rising cost of living, especially for vulnerable groups. President Dr. Monday Irfaan Ali, in a live address to the nation, listed among the measures a one-off cash grant of $25,000 for households in riverain and hinterland communities, placing $800 million in total at their disposal. He also announced that the government will purchase $1 billion worth of fertilizer to be distributed to farmers to use in their planting and replanting activities. This initiative is expected to significantly reduce input costs and assist with the scaling up of production. The funding comes from the $5 billion set aside in this year's national budget to address cost of living interventions.
Considering that fertilizer accounts for between 15 to 30% of the total operating costs for farmers, this initiative will significantly reduce input costs and help ensure scaled-up production and adequate supply of output, which is critical to maintaining price stability.
These two interventions in particular are the first in a series of measures that are forthcoming by the government and follows countrywide consultations with citizens. Vice President Dr. Jagdeo, during his outreach in Essequibo back in March, listened to the concerns and suggestions of a number of persons, including members of the business and farming communities, as well as other citizens, on how government can assist them.
The fertilizer issue, I just want to make a little point that if government brings fertilizer like in 2013-14, there was a similar crisis and GRDB through the government intervened and the price had to go down.
The same thing as in farming products. As you know, well, Essequibo is heavy on farming. I know you would have addressed that, but it's just to throw that part outside as well.
But is there anything on the farming products? Like
fertilizer would be the main thing.
So let's see how we can help. So we'll take into consideration some of the suggestions on production. We cannot also, we have to stage it. Because if you only give on production and you may be able to help, you might be helping the bigger guys more than the smaller people. Too, and the bigger people than smaller people who are producing and have greater capacity. They have their own equipment, you know, so they don't have to like rent. It would help the longer period amortize the cost whilst we're going through this difficult period.
Persons in the riverain and hinterland communities and farmers are the two groups severely affected by the rise in cost of living, which is due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which has disrupted the supply chain and imposed hardships around the world, among other external factors. The Vice President provided insight on the situation during an outreach in March.
With the war in Ukraine, with Russia and Ukraine, that Russia and Ukraine supply the world with 1/3 of the wheat. So that means you're going to have major shortages and then the prices will go up again. Fuel prices now are like 4 times what they were in 2015. Fuel is related to fertilizer, and so everything just ratcheted up. And the cost of living has gone up. So this is a new challenge that we have to manage.
Since taking office in August 2020, government has continuously provided assistance to citizens regardless of location. Some of the measures include the COVID-19 cash grant, removal of VAT on water and electricity, the reintroduction of the Because We Care cash grant, increased tax threshold, increased old age pension and public assistance, among several others.